Hi guys! Welcome to episode number 22 of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from Germany, where at the moment it is very cold but also quite sunny. So today I'm recording a day early, and that's because one, my boyfriend is at work, so it just makes sense to use the apartment while I have it to myself, and two, because I am stuck at home with a toothache. And so I was just sitting around being bored and I can't do much anyways, so I figured I'd just record an episode. So if I'm slightly off today, that might be because I'm on antibiotics and painkillers. But I will talk more about that in the live section, so you don't have to listen to that if you don't want to. So today I want to talk about a few of those that I have, including my first design. And then I have a few works in progress. I have some spinning, some acquisitions. I want to talk about a movie, which I'll explain more later, and then life in general. So you can decide to tune out whenever you're not interested anymore. If you're just here for the knitting or knitting and spinning, that is totally fine. Once again, I am recording on my different camera on the same phone, but like I said, it's a bit complicated, so I'm still getting used to it. So if I'm looking over there, that just means that I'm looking at the screen, checking that it is actually recording and I'm still focused on all that. And I also have my show notes over there. So I hope that's okay. I hope it works out. You guys said that the quality is a lot better, so I decided to give it another try. Did I even introduce myself? I think so. So I guess I should just get started. The first of all that I can show you today is the one that I'm wearing, and that is my hat. And as you can see, it is a simple slouchy hat. I knit a 2x2 rib and then a stockinette hat, which is relatively slouchy for my taste. But I won't take it off because I have the worst hair today, and I knew that if I wanted a podcast, I would have to podcast with a hat today. But anyways, I finished that, and the yarn that I used was some hand spun that I spun a while ago. And this is hand spun from a bat. Actually, the first bat that I've ever spun. It was a Merino Falkland Angelina blend. And I got it from a German indie dyer called Das Mondschaf. And that will be linked in the Ravelry group. So I still have a little bit left over, which makes me think maybe I might do a pom-pom. I never do pom-poms, but it might be nice, so let me know if you think I should make a pom-pom. So that is FO number 1. It was knit on 3.5mm needles. I think that's all you need to know. Finished object number 2 are these socks. And these were my first socks that I knit 2 at a time. The yarn is from Ponderosa Wolle, which I will also link. They are a German indie dyer. I think it's 2 people, I'm not sure. And I didn't know about Ponderosa until I went to a yarn festival last year, and yeah, they just had beautiful yarns. This is their luxury sock base, and I love this base. It is really nice. It feels sturdy. It feels like a nice wearable sock that won't just disappear after wearing it a few times, but at the same time it's still really soft. So it's not a typical workhorse yarn either. So I really like this yarn. The colorway is called Punk Braut, which means punk bride, and obviously pinks and whites and blacks. I really like it. I especially like those little speckles in between the black and the pink stripes. Sorry, I feel like I'm still looking away from the camera. I'm sorry about that. So anyways, I knit these on 2.25mm Adi premiums in the 100cm ones, because obviously I knit them 2 at a time, so yes. I talked more about those needles last week. So this is my first pair that I knit 2 at a time, and I had some troubles with it, and then I really started enjoying it. So I think I will keep knitting 2 at a time socks because I feel like they go so fast. I did a 2x2 rib, which is at the moment my favorite rib. I'm kind of over my twisted rib thing. I did a fish lips kiss heel. I actually messed up one of them this time. I'm not sure what I did. I'm not even sure which one is the messed up one. But they turned out alright. And yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna say about this. I knit them on 64 stitches. Okay, that was my printer. Like I said, I'm a bit out of it today. And of course my throat was fine until I started podcasting, and now I feel like I'm getting a throat thing. So sorry if I sound a little bit off as well. Anyways, I will show you my shawl design, which is covered in fluff and glitter. So this is it. This is my first shawl design, and I feel like it's kind of blowing out, but as you can see, it has a main body that has a little bit of lace through it, so I think that keeps it interesting. And then there is a strap section, and then you have a lace border, which kind of picks up on the lace in the body, but it's a little bit different. And this lace border can be knit longer if you want to, so if you want a bit of a larger shawl, you could always do that. And as you can see, it is a triangle. It is almost my wingspan, so it is a nice shawl size, and like I said, you can always customize it. And I will just put it on. Still not sure about my I-cord bind off, to be honest, but you could wear it like this, which I like most. Or of course you could throw it over your shoulders, wear it around your, like this. I'll just turn around and hopefully not show you my bum. No. What else could you do? Sometimes I wear my shawls just like, sort of like this, but I can't do it on camera apparently. But like I said, it's just a very versatile shawl. You can customize it when you're knitting it. You can use more colors. You can do it in one color. You could do more stripes. You have lots of different options, which is what my main goal for this shawl was. And at the same time, you can, you know, just by changing the color, changing the lace, maybe putting in more lace if you want that, you have lots of different options to make the perfect shawl for you. And the yarn that I used was a new to me yarn. It is Sandnes yarn in the alpaca silk, or alpaca silke as it says on the thing. I'm probably saying it wrong, but anyways, it is a alpaca and silk blend. And I didn't use very much yarn at all. I kind of planned for 100 grams of the main color and 50 grams for the border, but I was totally off. I used just over 50 grams for the plum purple sort of colorway, and I used about 35 grams of the gray. So you could definitely make it longer if you want to, even if you just have a 50 gram skein for the second color. And also you can you know, use scraps for it because it is knit in fingering weight, so I think that gives you the most options. So like I said, lots of options. You could decide to knit some of these lace panels in the contrast color as well if you want more of a two-colored shawl. Yeah, it's kind of blowing out. I don't like that. So blowing out. Oh well. As you might see, it is knit at a very, very loose gauge, which I think is the reason why I used so little yarn. So it's almost see-through. And I really, really like that. So I recommend 3.5mm needles, but if you are a tight knitter, or maybe even if you are not a very loose knitter, you might want to go up a needle size or two, because like I said, I knit this very, very loosely. So I have 4 amazing testers who are knitting the shawl right now. One of them is already finished, which is crazy because I only gave her the pattern like 5 days ago. But yeah, so I have a few things that have been corrected, and the depending on how long the other test knitters take, I think I will release this pattern in a few weeks. And I'm really excited about it. Honestly, I think I am super critical of the shawl. Like, even when I finished it, I was like, I'm not sure. And I kept finding things that are wrong with it, but I think it's just because I designed it myself. Like with other shawls, I would be way less critical, but this one, yeah. But yeah, I really like it, and I love the yarn. Like I said, you can use normal sock yarn, but of course, if you use like a silk blend or something like that, it'll give you a really nice drape. So yeah, you can just kind of pick and mix whatever colors you want. You can use sparkly yarn. The only thing that I think wouldn't really work is if you used a very variegated yarn, because that would just kind of, then you wouldn't see the lace. But yeah, so I hope you guys like it. I posted a photo on Instagram and you guys seem to like it, and I asked for a name because I can't think of a name for this shawl, so I still haven't found one. So if you guys come up with any names, that would be amazing. And I'm sure you guys have better ideas than I am. So feel free to come up with any names. You can send me 20 names if you have 20 ideas. And yeah, that would be really helpful. Yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna say about this shawl. I'm knitting a second version of it right now. So I will be able to show you a second sample, and maybe if my test knitters agree, I will show their finished objects as well. So yeah, that's it for now. Maybe I'll just keep it on. I'm kind of too stupid to wear these. But yeah, I really like just wearing it like this. So that's it for finished objects. I'm at 12 minutes already, that's crazy. Works in progress. I guess I can just show you the work in progress that makes sense first. So like I said, I'm knitting a second version of the shawl, and this time I didn't want to use a silk blend. I wanted to use more of a normal fingering weight yarn, even though this is fingering weight, but just because of the yarns that I used, it is kind of different. So this time I'm using a 100% merino yarn by Zauberwiese. I wonder if I have the tag here. No, that's the wrong one. I feel like I'm knitting with Zauberwiese every single week. But this is their merino base on 400 meters per 100 grams. And this is one of their one-of-a-kind colorways that I got in my Christmas or Santa Claus surprise bag. So it's 100% merino. It is really soft, and as you can see, hopefully, it is very slightly variegated, or I guess I should say tonal, semi-solid. So there's different shades of blue in here, which I really like. So I am knitting another one of my shawls. I feel like I should have a name for it now, so I can stop calling it my shawl. So as you can see, this is how the yarn is knitting up. It is looking quite different to the one that I knit before. I'm still knitting it quite loosely. I'm still knitting it on 3.5mm needles. These are my Adi lace needles, which are my favorite needles ever. And I am literally just about to start the first lace part. So yeah, that's my work in progress number 1. I'm getting hot. Work in progress number 2 is in here, and I'm really excited about this one. So last week I mentioned that I'm doing my own personal handspun challenge, and all of you guys are welcome to join in. And I'm challenging myself to always have a handspun project on the needles. And so the first one I did was this hat, and then as soon as I finished the hat, I didn't even go to my normal stash, but I just went, okay, what handspun am I going to cast on next? Because I always want to have a handspun project. And the yarn that I chose is this yarn. So I think I might have only showed that to you last week. This is my Polworth, 100% Polworth that I spun from Zauberwiese. Now I can show you the red tag. Zauberwiese logo looks like this. And this is 127 grams of light fingering weight. I think I have 685 meters in here. So quite a lot of yarn. And I decided to cast on another succulent shawl by Maria Monska. So let me try to show you without throwing it off the needles. This is what it looks like. So you can see there's lace and then there's stockinette. And I've knit this pattern once before. And I really enjoy this pattern. I think this is my favorite lace pattern to knit because it's just so interesting. It has lace on both sides, which sounds hard, but it really isn't that hard at all. And I feel like after the second lace section, I already kind of can do the pattern without even looking at the pattern anymore. So it's just one of those patterns that is really fun and makes a lot of sense. And then in the stockinette parts, you can just kind of relax and chill out. And yeah, I've been knitting on that a lot. I'm using 3.5mm needles. I'm using these Knit Pro Naturals, which is like the Symphonies, but they're just brown wood color. And honestly, I don't like these needles. I actually knit my design on these needles, but simply because I didn't have another pair of Adi lace. Thankfully, there's another pair of interchangeable Knit Pro needle tips coming towards me, and I got the Nova ones, so the metal ones, and I'm hoping that I'll like these better. But anyways, this is a pattern by Maria Monska. It's knit on 3.5mm needles, and it's my handspun. And it's the first time that I'm knitting lace with my handspun, and I'm really liking it. I mean, you can see that the texture is slightly different because that's just the way my handspun is. And it is fingering weight or light fingering weight, but it is not super consistent, not in the way that a commercial yarn would be, I guess. But yeah, I'm really liking it. I'm not sure if maybe the colors are a bit too crazy for this kind of pattern, but I'm just really enjoying it, so I'm just going for it. And it's actually a lot more colorful and a lot more bright than it's appearing on the camera as well, which is surprising me. But yeah, so that is my second work in progress. I only cast it on like 2 or 3 days ago, but I'm really enjoying it. And then my third work in progress is one that I cast on yesterday. So I finished my socks, which I showed you before. And then I was kind of unsure what to cast on next. I really wanted to do another pair of socks because I just love knitting socks. And then my boyfriend kind of came along and said, why don't you knit socks for me? And usually my boyfriend is not that much into hand-knitted socks, so I was really surprised. And he gave me a yarn for Christmas that I liked, but it's not my color, so I was thinking maybe he would like it. And I'll show you the yarn first. This is the yarn. This is a Stoppelwolle Zauberball. And I had asked him, or I'd given him the idea to give me one of that Zauberball yarns for Christmas. But he ended up picking the one color that I don't really like, which is orange. Like orange and browns and grays. And also he picked the one that doesn't have nylon, so it is the Zauberball 100, which is 100% wool. So I didn't really know what to do with it. I even kind of played with the idea of exchanging it for a color that I liked better, but my boyfriend really liked it, and it would have hurt him if I exchanged it or swapped or whatever. And it is really nice and soft cuddly yarn, so I figured maybe he would like it. So I asked him, and he said yeah, he'd be fine with that as long as they match. And I wound off the first 50 grams, and they had exactly one change from orange to brown to grey to black. So I thought, oh, that's perfect. I didn't really expect that. And I promised him matching socks, and then I wound off the second half of the skein, and of course it's completely different. So I asked him about 100 times whether he's sure that he liked them, because I don't really want to knit on socks for 2 weeks and then he doesn't wear them because they don't match. But he said he's fine with it, so yeah, I cast on with this yarn. And funny story, he really wanted to play with it. And I was like, be careful with the cake, don't mess it up. But within like 5 minutes he managed to completely mess up my cake. I kind of tried to salvage it, but yeah, I guess guys and yarn doesn't really go together. But anyways, here is the sock, or the start of the sock. So obviously you can see they're not matching. I started this one with the grey because I know there's so much orange coming along, so if I had skipped ahead and tried to match them up, they would have just been mismatched further along. So I decided to just go with it. And yeah, I really like it so far. Again, I'm knitting these on 2.25 Adi Premiums, which are the ones with the golden cord. Sorry about the refocusing, I'm still getting used to that. And I just did 15 rows of ribbing, 2x2 rib. And now I've started the stockinette section. Sorry, the camera crashed again. I cast on 68 stitches for my boyfriend because the last pair of socks I knit him, 68 stitches fit really well, but I knit them too short and he liked a bit of a longer cuff, so I'm just going to have to be careful with that. But I think width-wise, 68 stitches fit him pretty well. I'm also not 100% sure about the gauge that I'm getting with these socks, but I decided to just go for it and I think they'll be fine. It's my first time knitting with Sababal, and it's my first time knitting with socks that don't have any nylon in them. And you might know that, you know, Sababal yarns have, I think it's pretty much a single ply that's been felted slightly. So that makes these, the yarn really soft, but I know that it'll pill, or it'll probably pill a bit faster than normal socks. And because you don't have nylon in it, of course, they will not stretch as much, or they won't bounce back as much as other socks would. But then again, my boyfriend doesn't really wear his socks very much. Like, I wear my hand-knit socks every day, so I know that I will wear them down. But I think he'll be fine, and he really likes comfy socks. And yeah, some of his old socks that I knit him are not that nice anymore, and he still loves wearing them, so I think he'll be totally fine with it. And at least they will be super cuddly. So that is my last work in progress. And I'm keeping this in this bag, which my sister and I made. I think it's the first bag that she made for me, and I didn't sew very much on this. But when you fold over the edges, this is really perfect for 2 at a time socks, because it literally just fits 2 cakes, so that's perfect. So that's it for works in progress, so I will move into spinning, because I have done quite a lot of spinning. So I think I will go in chronological order. So last week I showed you my bobbin with yarn from Sarah's Texture Crafts, the pink one. So I finished spinning it, and then I think I was still spinning it last time, right? Yeah. And then I did a 2-ply and I finished it. So first of all, Sarah's Texture Crafts. Oops. This was her Merino Rainbow Blend, 100 grams, in the colorway Topsam or Top Sham, I'm not too sure, with 20% silk. And I got 500 meters for 100 grams, which means it is a light fingering weight, which I really like. And I'll just try to show you the yarn. So like I said, just a normal 2-ply. It is not perfectly consistent, but I'm pretty happy with it, because the singles felt like they were really fine. And they kind of bloomed when I washed it, so now it is it's really nice and soft. And also, not sure if you can see, but it has a really nice shine to it. So this feels like really great yarn, and I'm just so happy with it. I wish I could make you feel how soft it is. So even though I felt like I was possibly overplying my singles, I think I didn't overply them at all. I think I'm always more cautious of overplying them than underplying it. So I think lately I've been either underplying my singles or just plying them as they should be, but always I'm kind of scared of overplying. But anyways, yeah, I just love this yarn. I think it came out really, really well, and I really enjoyed spinning with it. And I may have placed another order with Sarah because I just love her yarn so much. And if you've watched the latest Fluffy Fibers podcast with Isabel, she says some really, really nice things about Sarah's texture crafts as well, and I totally agree with her. The fiber is just really, really nice. So yeah, I can only enable you to buy. But that's not the only Sarah's texture crafts that I spun this week. I also spun up a set of Rolex that I had from her, and I only had 50 grams. It was Rolex in the Indian Summer colorway, and it was a merino silk blend again, because when you get her Rolex you can choose what kind of fiber you want, if you want merino with sparkle, tencel, silk and so on. So I picked one with silk, and this is what I've spun. As you can see, probably, I think it's fine, normal fiber, it's fine, but it's not my usual spinning style. So usually I like really consistent yarns, I like 2-plies, I like fine yarns, but with this one I just kind of had fun. So I spun these straight from the Rolex. I started by, pre-drafting everything, but then I decided that with a spinning wheel I actually really like spinning straight from the Rolex, whereas with a spindle I like to pre-draft it. So I spun most of it straight from the Rolex onto the bobbin. It took me about an hour tops. And then I did a 3-ply. So a chain ply. And for those of you who don't know, a chain ply means that you make a 3-ply from one single, which means that the thin parts will, be very thin, and the thicker parts will be plied with more thicker parts. So therefore, if you're spinning inconsistent, it won't make it more consistent, it will make it more inconsistent. Whereas if you do a 2-ply, the chances are that it'll even out. So this is quite inconsistent for my taste. But then I really, really like how the colors showed up. I like that it's bright and cheery, and I'm hoping it might be enough for a hat, because that's what I spun it for. We'll see. It's only 50 grams, but it might just be enough, or maybe I can pair it with some grey commercial yarn that I have, or just spin up something else that I have, and yeah, I'm not too sure. But yeah, this is 50 grams. I think it's about 80 on 90 meters. And then I was just really enjoying spinning, so I decided to spin up some more. And now I have actually spun up all of my stash besides one braid and a few fuzzlings. And since I was, in the mood of spinning for my stash and using all the old stuff up, I just started spinning on some fuzzlings that I ordered from Fondant Fibers like half a year ago. So back then I ordered fuzzlings in the popsicle colorway, and this is what I spun up back then. So this is from a couple of months ago. This is, I think, merino, silk and sparkle. And I spun up like 2 or 3 fuzzlings, and I wasn't sure if I liked it. A lot of you guys seem to like it, but I felt like the pink and the yellow and the grey just kind of washed out and blended together, and I didn't really like it. But so I pulled it back out, and I had 2 fuzzlings left. So the first thing I did this time was I spun this one. And this is pretty similar width-wise to this one. But this one is a 3-ply. I chain plied this, so I spun it very, very thin. If inconsistent, I still spun it inconsistent but thin. And this one is a 2-ply. And they came out pretty much exactly the same, which is interesting. But you can see the difference. So obviously in the 2-ply, the colors blended together and you have barber pulling, whereas in the 3-ply, the colors mostly stayed together. And then I was feeling really crazy, which might have to do with the gin tonic that I enjoyed. And I decided to spin up the rest really, really thick and thin and go crazy. So I spun it up thick and thin, and then I was like, I want to do coiled yarn, which is a form of an art yarn. So I quickly looked it up how to do coiled yarn, and I took some some cashmere thread that I still had, which is silver. It looks like this. Yeah, that might not focus. Yeah, there you go. And then I just went for it and crazy plied it all together. And with coiled yarn, you hold the yarn and the thread at a 90-degree angle, and then you just kind of push them together, and it created this crazy skein of yarn, or mini skein. So now I have 3 different skeins of yarn, which are from the exact same fiber, and you can see, depending on what you do with it, it can be quite different. So I thought that was really fun. I doubt I will ever use any of them. My boyfriend was like, what are you gonna do with this? And I was like, it's art yarn, I'm not gonna do anything with it. And he completely didn't understand that. But yeah, I was just having fun. I think all of these are really out of my comfort zone. None of them are really what I usually like spinning. But I just had some fun, and I don't know, some podcaster said the other day that spinning art yarns is really good for learning how to spin. So even if you don't like thick and thin yarns and so on, it's really helpful to learn how to spin them, because it'll just make you a better spinner. And I totally agree. So yeah, I just had a lot of fun, and I think in the future I will spin more of this kind of yarn, because this is what I really like, and this is what I like to knit with. But yeah, I just had some fun. And then I started spinning on a new project, which is part of acquisitions. But how do I do this? I'll just show you my project first, and then I'll talk about the yarn later. So I ordered quite a bit of fiber from Nuno.co, and I'll show that later. But the one that I'm spinning right now is a blended top cobweb, 100 grams of 23 micron merino, Firestar and Tassa silk. So the fiber looks like this. I think I've shown you this basket a few times. This is what I use for my spinning, because it is just very helpful. So it looks like a cloud of white unicorn. And I started spinning really fine singles. And this is what they look like. Yeah, I love this new camera now. So you can see there's a lot of sparkle in there. The Firestar, I'm trying to spin it worsted, but sometimes this Firestar just keeps on poking out because it is just so glittery. And I love spinning it. It is so nice. I must say that it is kind of boring me, because usually I like to spin with color, and this feels a bit monotone, I guess. But yeah, I'm really liking how this is coming out. It feels like I'm spinning silver sort of yarn. And this is definitely a yarn that I want to have to knit something, probably something lacy with this, because I just think it'll be really nice. So I guess that leads me straight to acquisitions. And since I'm already talking about Nuno.co, I'll just keep talking about it. So first of all, I ordered from Nuno.co, and this is how their name is spelled. They're in the UK, and I've been stocking their fiber for a long time, because it just looks amazing, and everyone seems to be in love with their bats. But then I'm not really into bats. And so I had something from them in my Etsy cart for a long time, but never actually ordered it. And then the other day I just went for it. So I got the fiber that I showed you before. I also got another 100-gram braid, or 100 grams, but when you order from Nuno.co, it comes like this. So this doesn't look like a lot of fiber, but it's actually the exact same amount than this. It is just very much condensed. That's why it looks like it's not that much fiber, but it really is. And this is another blended top. It's called Patchouli. 100 grams of 23 micron merino, Firestar, and bamboo. And Let's see if you can actually see it. Yeah. Oops. So it has browns and purples and this amazing glittery bamboo section. And yeah, I think this will be really interesting to spin up. So this is my second blended top that I ordered, and it's really nice when you open it up, which I won't do now. It is just blended so well, and you could theoretically just spin from that, but I like to divide my fiber up a bit more, so that's why I'm not doing that. But yeah, I really like this preparation. It's nicer than if you just open your package and there's like fiber in your face. I like that. It's kind of nice, and I know that as long as I keep it like this, there won't be any moss or anything coming into my fiber, and yeah. And then they have this thing called random bat droppings. So they use whatever fiber they have left over when they create bats and custom orders and all that, and they turn that into random bats, which I really, really like, because I hate the idea of people throwing away fiber, because of course there's going to be leftovers, and this way I feel like they're just using it all, and it is really, really fun. So I ordered 2 50-gram batch droppings, and the first one that I unpacked was this one. So it has blues and greens. I think the green might be like sari silk or something, it looks like it. And some silver, possibly silk, coming through it. So this one I kind of like. I am definitely not disappointed. I was kind of worried that I might get something that I completely hate. But yeah, I like this one. And then the second one, I literally squealed when I saw it because I love it so much. Look at that. This is totally me, right? This has blues again, and also this like super vibrant red. I think also sari silk and pink, and it just looks like so much fun. So yeah, I really, really love this, and I'm very excited to spin these bats out as well. And then with my order I also got this little sample of Whispering Well blended tops. I think this might just be a merino, it doesn't say. But yeah, again, not really my color, but I'm really looking forward to just see how it spins up, and I love getting samples. So yeah, so far I'm really, really happy with my order from Nuno Co. I feel like it's a company that I really might get addicted to buying from, because the stuff that I have is just amazing. But that's not the only thing I got. And the reason why I have ordered so much fiber and I have 2 more things coming my way is because I've actually used up my fiber stash. So back when I was just spinning on my drop spindle, it took a long time and I wasn't spinning that much, and I was kind of hoarding fiber, and now I feel like I'm just spinning it up so quickly, and I really need a new fiber stash. Like I said, if I spin one more braid from my stash, that'll be it, and then I won't have any stash anymore. So I feel like I deserve a little bit of fiber. So I ordered from a German indie dyer who I've also been stalking for quite a long time, and I think I found them through Ravelry. And the company is called Die Kleine Wollfabrik. And they have hand-dyed yarn and hand-dyed fiber, as well as commercial yarn and fiber. And I got this fiber. This is 100% merino. And I just thought it looked really nice. And I think I really like this gray part. I think that'll create an interesting effect. So this will probably have to be 2-plied, and maybe I'll do a fractal spin. But yeah, I really quite like that. And then the other thing that I got was some yarn, because I feel like I don't have very much sock yarn anymore. At the moment I'm always buying yarns for shawls or something like that, but not really sock yarn. So I ordered this skein. Again, Die Kleine Wollfabrik. This is their merino sock yarn, so it's 75% merino, 25% polyamide. 100 grams is 400 meters, and it's a superwash yarn. As you can see, it is really, really vibrant. Hang on. So I love this crazy pink in here. It's kind of not showing as crazy as it is. It is very, very bright. Hang on, let's see. No, it's not showing up as much. But this is very bright yarn, and I actually had this in my cart for a few months as well. And I finally got a skein, and I'm really, really liking it. So I'm glad I got that. And the thing, I usually don't really talk about prices. Apparently today I do. But this brand is really, really, they have really fair prices. Like, I think I paid for this yarn, I paid maybe €9 for a hand-dyed, indie-dyed yarn. So I think that's really, really great pricing and a good price point. And I understand that indie dyeing yarn is expensive and takes a lot of time, so I understand the higher prices, but it's nice when you can get nice stuff from, in my case, close to me, from Germany, and you don't have to, you know, spend lots of money on it. So yeah, I got this one as well, and I'm really happy with it. So that's it for acquisitions. I actually have quite a few things coming towards me, but not because I ordered everything at the same time, but just because some things take a long time to get to me. So yeah, I think the next few weeks will be quite acquisition heavy as well. But yeah, that's okay. I need some sanity spending, as Idle Cabinet says. So that's it for the yarn and the spinning. Before I move on to life and what I've been doing, I quickly wanted to mention a movie that I've been watching. And usually I don't really do that. I think I've never talked about movies, but I feel like this is a good cause, so I should talk about it. There is a movie that came out parallel to some fashion week. I have no idea about fashion week, so I'm not really sure where and when and whatever. But the movie is called The True Cost. And it is a movie about the true cost of our fashion industry, our garment industry, the cotton industry, and so on. And if you have Netflix, you can watch it for free, which I think is amazing. I think you can also watch it through iTunes and Amazon and all that. But anyways, I was really interested in that because it is a documentary about, you know, what's going on in the textile industry. And for me personally, I think it's a really, really important topic. I don't want to convince you guys of anything or make you feel bad for, you know, we all buy clothes, we all go shopping, we all have a lot of fun. But it is also quite boring, and I'm losing my English here. It is quite worrying, and there are a lot of things that we kind of tend to not think about, like the working conditions or what we're doing to our planet by using non-organic cotton. And it is, yeah, I think it's something that we should at least think about, and that, you know, if someone makes a movie, and you can even, like, I think most people have Netflix or something, so you can watch it for free. I feel like you should just watch it. And for me personally, I don't buy a lot of clothes, not necessarily for reasons of, you know, like, I don't buy a lot of clothes mostly because I just don't need a lot of clothes. I used to be really into that, and I used to study design, and things kind of changed, and now I'm just kind of too lazy, and I don't want to spend my money on clothes, and it doesn't really interest me that much. But after watching that movie, I felt more than ever that I should reduce what I'm buying anyways, especially the sort of fast fashion where you think, you know, you can buy like 10 t-shirts for $5 a piece, and then if you don't like them anymore, you just throw them away, and all of that. That has, you know, big repercussions. And I'm a big fan of buying things when you know, you spend a decent amount of money once, but then at least you can keep them. So, you know, if you buy a good pair of shoes, it might last you for a couple of years, rather than just buying cheap shoes and buying new ones every 6 months. And I think lots of knitters and sewers and spinners and so on are into, you know, having a handmade wardrobe. And while I do think that even with yarn, you know, sometimes it is produced fairly, sometimes it's not produced fairly, I do agree that, you know, the things that I make, like my hand-knit jumpers, I won't throw them away. And ever since knitting, I don't go to the stores and buy jumpers anymore, and same goes with socks and so on. So I think it's really, really important to think about. And like I said, if you don't like that topic, if you're not interested, if you don't want to watch the movie, that's totally fine. I just thought that, yeah, I might talk about it. And if you don't like it, then that's fine. So, life in general. Let me have a sip of tea and then go on. Before I talk about life, I guess I should mention where you can find me. So if you're wanting to tune out, that's fine, and you can still get the information where to find me. So really easy. My Instagram is the Happy Knitting Podcast. Our Ravelry group is the Happy Knitting Podcast group. And you can find me on Ravelry as Wipfi, which is WUEPFI. In the Ravelry group, we have a introduction thread, which I'm always really happy if people introduce themselves. I also have created a thread for the handspun challenge. So if you guys are knitting with handspun, it doesn't have to be handspun by you personally, but if you're knitting with handspun and you have projects or you're spinning for a specific project, feel free to share, just chat along, and at some point in the year I will probably draw a prize. Yeah, so I think that's that. I also have an Ask Away thread, so if you have a question and you want me to answer it, that's probably the best way to ask the question, or I will be less likely to forget about it. But yeah, so just whenever you have a question, if you want to leave me a message, comment, whatever, just contact me. So, life in general. I feel like my video is gonna crash in a second because it hasn't crashed for a long time. So I'm feeling a bit nervous. Anyways, this week was a bit jumbled up. First of all, because I had a dentist appointment on Monday for my wisdom teeth, which I know I have to get out. I already got one out, so I have 2 to go. And I was pretty scared of going there, but I went there, and he was like, totally fine, don't worry about it. Even if you have pains, you'll be fine. And I got an appointment to get one taken out in 4 weeks and the other one 4 weeks after that. So I went home and I was pretty happy, and I thought, I felt kind of calmed down. He didn't really seem to think that there would be a problem anytime soon. But then my toothaches got worse. So on Tuesday I took some painkillers, but they didn't really help, and then I kind of tried to talk myself into believing that I was getting better, but it really wasn't. So yesterday morning I called and they gave me antibiotics. So I'm now on antibiotics and painkillers for my teeth, which I guess I have inflammation or something. And my pains actually got a lot worse after going to the doctor, so I'm really glad that I'm doing something about it now, and today I'm already feeling a bit better. But yeah, so my week has been kind of, influenced by constantly worrying about teeth and having pains, and it just kind of takes the fun out of a lot of things, especially if, like me, you like to eat and you like to drink coffee, and now every time I eat or drink something I feel like maybe I'm doing something to my teeth and so on, and I brush my teeth like a crazy person. So yeah, that is one thing that happened this week, and it also kind of distracted me from studying. So I'm hoping it'll sort itself out, but if I do have to get the teeth out, I do have an exam in 10 days, but it'll just have to wait. If worst comes to worst, I'll just have to postpone and get well first or whatever. I'm trying not to stress out too much about it. Besides that, a few things happened this week. First of all, the other day my boyfriend was literally about to leave for the day when I was like, I feel like the heating isn't working. And for those of you who don't live in Germany, you might not know that we have about -5 to -10 degrees at the moment. So it is really freezing. And of course I realized this after just airing out the entire apartment, so it was freezing cold. So my boyfriend left and said it'll be fine if just call, the landlord. And then I was just kind of sitting there and I was getting really worried, and my name is not in our contract. So I felt kind of uncomfortable calling someone, and I was just sitting there. I was wearing all my knitwear and just kind of cuddling up and hoping for the best. And it actually fixed itself apparently. After I talked to all of the neighbors and got everyone really crazy, it all kind of came back, and within a couple of hours our apartment was warm again. But yeah, that was kind of shocking and I was kind of freaking out. Then another funny thing that happened, I don't know what's going on with this week, was I was packaging up the prizes for the knit along, and for one person I was also sending other stuff, and I weighed it and I was like, oh my god, it's so much, it's crazy. And then I waited a few days later and it said something completely different. So I was like, I must have been really stupid when I waited last time. So I repacked everything and went to the post office, and and then he said it's a really, really high price. And I was really confused because it's like, I checked, it's under 500 grams, it shouldn't be this expensive. And he's like, he was really, really unfriendly as well. And he's like, yeah, get a new scale because it is clearly over like 80 grams over 500 grams. So I was really confused and still doubting myself and thinking, yeah, I must be stupid. When I don't even know how I realized it in the end, but I did realize that my scale is broken. And I didn't really think that a electronic scale, I was second guessing myself a lot because I had used the scale to weigh my yarn for my design, and I was worried that maybe I'd used more yarn than I thought I did just because the scale was wrong and so on. But I think it all turned out fine. But yeah, that was just, I didn't really expect that to happen. Anyways, so that happened, my teeth happened. Besides that, everything's going pretty well. I mean, I'm supposed to be studying, and I'm really happy now that I started studying early because now I can just chill out and not worry about it too much. If I'm in pain, I'm not gonna, force myself to study, and I can, yeah, I'm really, really happy that I started studying early and it's working out okay. And yeah, I think nothing really special happened. My dad came over. He lives about an hour away, and so does my family, and he visited me for lunch, which was really, really nice. And yeah, nothing super exciting happening, which is fine. So I think I'm going to end this here, and I hope you guys have a nice weekend and a nice week. I hope you have lots of nice knitting or spinning or crochet or sewing projects to work on. I hope you're all going well, I hope your families are well, and I will just talk to you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!